Your mood is like the weather within your mind. Sometimes it shines with peace and clarity, and sometimes storms of sadness, irritation, or anxiety rise without warning. Most people spend their lives reacting to these internal changes without understanding where they come from. They identify with every emotional wave, forgetting that they are not the storm. They are the sky in which the storm happens. In truth, your moods are reflections of your inner energy, your thoughts, your environment, and your awareness. If you do not learn to master them, they will rule you. But once you understand them, you begin to discover calmness that no situation can disturb. Let us explore why your moods change and how to master them. Moods are movements of energy, not identity. Every emotion we experience, whether joy, anger, sadness, or peace, is simply a movement of energy within us. The human body and mind are constantly in flux, and moods are reflections of that inner flow. When this energy moves smoothly, we feel light and balanced. When it becomes blocked or stagnant, we experience discomfort and emotional turbulence. Most people believe that emotions define who they are, saying things like, "I am anxious," or "I am angry." But the truth is, you are not these emotions. You are the space in which they appear. Just as the ocean remains the same beneath its waves, your true self remains unchanged beneath your moods. The energy rises and falls, but the observer within you is always constant. Once you start seeing your moods as energy, you stop labeling them as good or bad. Instead, you start learning from their movement. The problem arises when we attach our identity to a particular emotional state. When you say, "I am sad," you merge yourself with sadness, giving it power to define your existence. That is when you begin to carry it, nurture it, and even protect it unconsciously. But emotions are not meant to be possessed. They are meant to pass. Every emotion is like a messenger knocking on your door to tell you something about your current state of being. When you allow it to deliver its message and leave, you remain balanced. But when you refuse to let it go, you create resistance. And resistance turns temporary emotion into prolonged suffering. True mastery of moods begins the moment you stop saying, "I am this," and start saying, "This is passing through me." This subtle shift transforms your inner experience entirely. In the teachings of ancient philosophy and martial discipline, everything is seen as energy in motion. Chai or chu. When your energy rises and falls in rhythm with your breath and awareness, you are in harmony. But when it becomes trapped by overthinking, tension, or emotional attachment, imbalance arises. That imbalance manifests as mood swings, sudden irritation, or unexplainable sadness. It is not that life has suddenly become difficult. It is that your inner energy has lost its balance. When you see moods as movements of energy, you can begin to work with them consciously. Instead of reacting emotionally, you observe the movement. You can breathe into it, stretch your body, move gently, and allow the energy to circulate again. Over time, this practice creates emotional resilience. You stop fearing your moods and begin to understand their rhythm. The body and mind speak to each other through energy. when your thoughts are negative, they create tension in your body. That tension then feeds back to your mind, reinforcing the emotion. This cycle continues until you break it consciously. One of the simplest ways to break it is by observing without judgment. Imagine yourself as the sky and your moods as passing clouds. Some days the sky is clear and some days it is stormy. But the sky never fights the clouds. It allows them to pass naturally. In the same way, when you stop resisting your moods, they lose their grip on you. Acceptance does not mean surrendering to negativity. It means understanding that even the darkest emotional clouds are temporary. With awareness, every storm eventually passes, revealing clarity once again. Your thoughts shape your mood more than your circumstances. Every emotion you feel begins as a thought. Long before you notice a change in your mood, a silent thought has already passed through your mind, triggering a cascade of emotional and physiological reactions. Most people believe that their moods are the result of external circumstances, the behavior of others, unexpected challenges, or the conditions of the day. But two people can experience the same event and react in entirely different ways. Why? Because it is not the event that shapes the mood. It is the interpretation. The human brain constantly interprets, labels, and assigns meaning to everything it experiences. When that meaning is positive or balanced, the mood remains calm. When it is distorted by fear, self-doubt, or negativity, the mood collapses into imbalance. In this way, your thoughts are the architects of your emotional world. Change the design of your thoughts, and you change the structure of your mood. If you were to slow down your mind and listen carefully, you would realize that much of your emotional suffering does not come from what happens to you. It comes from the story you tell yourself about what happens to you. The mind loves to dramatize, to exaggerate, to replay past pain, or imagine future disasters. It takes a single moment of disappointment and expands it into a narrative of hopelessness. That narrative then becomes the lens through which you view everything else, coloring your emotions throughout the day. When you start believing every thought that passes through your mind, you become a prisoner of your own imagination. The ancient wisdom of mindfulness teaches us that thoughts are like clouds. They appear, they change, and they disappear. If you watch them without clinging, they lose their power. But if you chase them, they turn into storms. The real work lies in observing the thought before it controls your feeling. Each thought carries an energetic frequency. Positive, compassionate, and grateful thoughts expand your emotional energy, allowing peace and happiness to flow naturally. Negative, fearful, and judgmental thoughts contract your inner energy, creating tightness, tension, and anxiety. That contraction is what we often describe as a bad mood. The body immediately mirrors the mind's contraction through shallow breathing, tense muscles, and a restless heartbeat. This is why awareness is so important. When you feel your mood shifting, pause and trace it back to the thought that triggered it. Perhaps someone said something that you interpreted as disrespect. Maybe you remembered a mistake and started judging yourself. Once you locate the thought, question it. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it necessary? Often, you will find that the thought is neither accurate nor useful. It is simply a conditioned pattern, replaying itself. By questioning your thoughts, you reclaim your emotional balance. The power of perspective cannot be overstated. Two people can face the same challenge. One feels broken, and the other feels motivated. The difference lies in mindset. When you interpret difficulties as personal failures, your mood declines into despair. But when you see them as opportunities for growth, the same situation becomes empowering. This is not about blind optimism. It is about choosing a perspective that supports your well-being. You cannot control what others do, but you can always control how you interpret it. A wise person once said, "You cannot stop the waves, but you can learn to surf." Life will always bring waves, moments of uncertainty, conflict, or pain. But the surfer's balance depends on how he positions himself. In the same way, your mood depends on how you position your thoughts in relation to life's waves. The body and mood are deeply connected. Your mood does not exist only in your mind. It is woven through your entire physical being. Every emotion has a physical expression. The quickened heartbeat of anxiety, the tight shoulders of anger, the heavy chest of sadness, or the relaxed posture of peace. The mind and body are not separate systems, they are in constant communication. When your body is tired, tense, or neglected, your mood reflects it. Many people try to fix their emotions through thinking alone, but they forget that emotions live in the body as much as in the mind. The body stores unresolved feelings as muscular tension, shallow breathing, or chronic restlessness. When energy becomes trapped in the body, the mind becomes restless and cloudy. This is why physical practices like stretching, breathing, or mindful walking can shift your mood faster than any logical reasoning. To master your emotions, you must first learn to reconnect with the body that carries them. When you neglect the needs of your body, sleep, movement, hydration, or stillness, your emotional balance begins to erode. A sleep-deprived mind magnifies every irritation. A stiff body makes patience harder. A dehydrated system triggers stress hormones without you realizing it. The body whispers before it screams, and moods are often the first whispers. That irritation you feel may not be emotional. It might be your body begging for rest. The heaviness of sadness may not always come from your past. It can come from stagnant energy or a sluggish circulation. When the body's natural rhythm is disrupted, the mind loses its grounding. In such moments, people often misinterpret physical imbalance as emotional instability, creating a loop of confusion and frustration. The body's condition becomes the foundation upon which every thought and feeling stands. Therefore, caring for your body is not self-indulgence, it is a spiritual responsibility to maintain inner harmony. Breathing is one of the most direct bridges between the body and the mind. When you breathe shallowly, your brain receives signals of danger or stress, activating emotional turbulence. When you breathe deeply and slowly, your body signals safety, and the nervous system begins to calm. This is not abstract philosophy. it is biology. Ancient disciplines like Qigong, Tai Chi, and meditation have always emphasized breath control for this reason. Through conscious breathing, you regulate your inner energy. What ancient masters call qi. When your qi flows freely, the mind becomes still and the heart peaceful. But when breathing is blocked by tension, energy stagnates and your emotions become heavier. By simply pausing to breathe with awareness, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth, expanding the chest, softening the shoulders, you allow emotional energy to move again. In that moment, you do not need to fight your mood. You simply allow your body to release it naturally. Movement is another key to emotional balance. The human body is designed to move, not to remain frozen in tension or stillness. When you sit too long, you trap energy in your muscles. When you fail to stretch or walk, that trapped energy turns into restlessness, anxiety, or fatigue. Notice how a simple walk in nature can change your entire mood. That shift does not come from magic. It comes from energy circulation. The body moves, blood flows, the nervous system recalibrates, and the brain releases chemicals of calmness and clarity. This is why many emotional imbalances cannot be solved by thinking. They must be dissolved through movement. Martial artists, monks, and mindful practitioners understand this deeply. They do not move merely to strengthen muscles. They move to free energy, to align body and mind. When your movements are mindful, every step, every breath, every stretch becomes an act of emotional cleansing. Awareness creates distance, and distance creates mastery. The greatest shift in emotional mastery begins the moment you realize that you are not your moods, but the one who observes them. Most people live as prisoners of their emotions because they lack awareness. They react before they even recognize what they are feeling. Awareness is the silent space between stimulus and response, between what happens to you and how you choose to deal with it. When you are unaware, that space vanishes, and you become a victim of your automatic reactions. But when awareness grows, that space expands, and within it lies freedom. The practice of awareness is like turning on a light in a dark room. The things that once frightened you lose their power the moment you can see them clearly. In the same way, when you bring awareness to your emotions, you see them as passing experiences instead of permanent truths. That awareness gives you distance, and that distance gives you power. When anger, sadness, or anxiety arises, your natural instinct is to fight or escape it. But the moment you resist, you feed it. Awareness works differently. It does not resist or suppress. It simply watches. It allows you to stand beside your emotions and observe them with calm curiosity. This act of observation changes everything. Neuroscience shows that when you label an emotion, I am noticing anger, I am observing sadness, your brain's emotional centers calm down and your logical mind reactivates. Awareness literally rewires the brain. The emotion may still be there, but its intensity fades because you are no longer fueling it with unconscious identification. You begin to sense a gentle separation between yourself and the feeling, as if you are watching waves rise and fall without being pulled under. That separation is not detachment in a cold way.